When night falls, the darkness starts to speak. Between each breath and the silence there are whispers no one was meant to hear. This is Night Whispers, where the dark has a story to tell.
Back before phones and social media took over people's lives, kids like us practically lived outside. From ages 9 to 17, we were out every night riding bikes, messing around, playing little nighttime pranks. Kids these days rarely do that anymore. But back then, the dark streets and the tiny park at the end of the block felt like our own world, a place where childhood was free and endless. Near my house was a small park, surrounded on 3 sides by trees, with the 4th side facing a quiet road. Across the street was another patch of woods. Because of that, we could hang out there at night without worrying about neighbors yelling or calling the cops. The darkness, the bugs, and the empty space became our little hideout, a place we thought nothing bad could happen. This happened when I was around 13, an age where my bike took me everywhere. It was a Saturday after grabbing pizza, and we went back to Tony's backyard. The 5 of us were joking around until Tony's mom came out yelling, telling us to quiet down and go somewhere else. 3 friends went home. Tony, Rob, and I decided the night wasn't over yet and headed to the park. The park was only a 5-minute bike ride away, but riding at night always felt special. Cool air, empty streets, everything felt lighter. We parked our bikes and climbed onto the playground, our usual hangout spot with a slide, swings, and old metal bars. It was the place we always escaped to when we wanted to talk until late without being bothered. The playground wasn't big. A small baseball field, a couple benches, and a tall metal spiral slide. The flooring sat slightly above ground level, making it feel hidden, like our little base. That night, we sat on the platform talking. Everything seemed normal, until Tony suddenly whispered, "You hear that?" All of us went silent immediately. At first, none of us heard anything, so we teased him for imagining things. But a few minutes later, a clear thud echoed from the playground. This time, all 3 of us heard it. We stood up, checked around, called out to see if anyone was hiding. No answer, no movement. The silence after that felt heavy, almost unnatural. We sat down again, the uneasiness grew. Then another sound came, this time
Down
unmistakable.
here.
A child
Come closer.
coming from inside the metal slide. We froze. The whole time we'd been there, no one had climbed into the slide. And now a child's voice was echoing from inside it. Soft, short, clear, like someone was whispering right at the entrance. I walked toward the slide, heart pounding. I called out, "Is someone in there?" The child's voice answered, "Hello." It sounded like a toddler, maybe a young boy. We looked at each other. Well, we hadn't heard any footsteps or movement before that. I asked again, "Do you need help?" But after that first response, the voice went silent. Thinking a kid might be stuck, climbed into the slide and slid down. The whole time, I braced myself to see a child sitting in one of the turns. When I reached the bottom, it was completely empty. No kid, no footprints, no signs of someone running away. I stood there for a while, realizing no child could have escaped that fast without anyone else. I checked around, my friends checked too. I searched the ground level, behind the bushes, every shadow around the playground. Nothing. No one. At that moment, the same voice echoed from inside the slide again, this time clearly saying, "Catch me." It was enough. We bolted toward our bikes without saying a word. We pedaled harder than we ever had, racing straight to my house. In the backyard, we sat catching our breath, whispering so we wouldn't wake my dad. We recounted every detail, trying to find a logical explanation. The more we talked, the less sense anything made. It felt like something unseen had been watching us the whole time. While we were whispering, a sudden knocking came from the backyard gate, slow and steady, like someone politely asking to come in. I froze. I called out, "Who's there?" A woman's voice answered, familiar and strange. "Hello? Are you boys just at the park?" I stared at each other, terrified. None of us recognized the voice. How did she even know to come here? There was a thin gap between the wooden boards and the gate. I leaned close to peek still staring, not moving an inch. He didn't even dare to move. It felt like something was observing us from the darkness. I rushed into the house through the back door and hid downstairs in complete silence. Legs pounding, hands shaking, I didn't look toward the window. The image of the frozen smile haunted us. Tony and Rob were too scared to get their bikes back, so they stayed the night. None of us slept. The uneasiness lingered like a shadow in the house. In the morning, everything looked normal again. The woman was gone, the bikes untouched. The fear didn't fade. In daylight, I tried to make sense of it. The child got lost. My mother was searching for him. It sounded like a reasonable explanation until we thought it through and realized it didn't fit at all. The distance from the park to my house was too long for someone on foot to keep up with us riding at full speed. We hadn't heard footsteps following. We never saw any child at the playground. Every sound that night appeared out of nowhere, with no physical movement to explain it. Nothing added up, not logically, not realistically. Even the voice inside the slide didn't sound like a real child trapped in metal. It echoed strangely, too clear, like something trying to mimic a child. Inside the slide, the air felt unnaturally cold, like something had been standing there seconds before I entered. The more I think about it, the more impossible it feels. Now, years later, the memory feels distant, but still chills me whenever it resurfaces. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe we scared ourselves. But the perfect timing of that voice and that woman still makes no sense. To this day, we've never found an explanation. It remains one of those eerie childhood mysteries that stays with you forever. I never imagined a simple walk in the park could turn into one of the scariest experiences of my life. My town was always quiet, the kind of place where people believed nothing bad ever happened. But on that Friday night in 2018, after a long late shift, I just wanted to clear my head. I had no idea that night would mark the beginning of something unsettling that would stay with me for years. The park was only a few blocks from my apartment, a place I often went to jog or think. That night felt strangely quiet. The streetlights filtered through the tree canopy, making the path seem darker than usual. I stepped inside, breathing in the scent of freshly cut grass, and turned on my headphones at a low volume. I expected a peaceful walk, nothing more. At first, everything seemed ordinary. A couple walking their dogs, two teens chatting softly on a bench. But a sense of unease crept in, subtle at first, then stronger. Something felt off, an odd stillness hanging in the air. I told myself it was just fatigue from work. I continued walking slowly, watching the branches sway faintly under the dim yellow lights. Then I noticed a man sitting alone on a bench near the path. He wore a dark hoodie with the hood pulled up, even though it wasn't cold. He didn't move, didn't look around, just sat staring straight ahead. But when I walked past him, I realized his eyes were locked on me, unblinking. A chill ran through me, and I quickened my pace without daring to look back. I tried to stay calm. Minutes later, I heard footsteps behind me. I stopped, they stopped. When I walked, they followed at the same rhythm. My heartbeat spiked. I kept trying to convince myself it was someone taking an evening walk. But the timing was too perfect, too synchronized. I decided to switch to a smaller side path that led toward the street to get out faster. As soon as I turned onto the smaller path, I glanced back and froze. The man in the hoodie from the bench had stood up and was now walking in the same direction. His steps didn't look casual, more like he was matching mine deliberately. I pretended to make a phone call, hoping he'd react in some way, but he didn't. He just kept moving, steady and silent, as if he anticipated every step. I started jogging, hoping distance would discourage him, but he immediately did the same, keeping the exact same gap. Panic tightened in my chest. I focused on reaching the nearest park exit as fast as possible. The footsteps behind me grew quicker, sharper, echoing my own movements. I didn't dare look back. I just pushed myself to run as fast as I could. When I finally reached the street, I turned around. The man stood at the edge of the tree line, still in the shadows, refusing to step into the light. I didn't chase anyone, I only watched. Somehow, that silent stare was worse than being followed. I ran straight home, hands trembling so badly I struggled to unlock my door. I convinced myself the ordeal was over. I tried to rationalize what happened. Maybe he was just a strange guy wandering the park. He wasn't dangerous. I attempted to return to my normal routine. The image and twisted. I quickly left the park, avoided it at night entirely. But the unease didn't stay confined there. It followed me home. I occasionally caught glimpses of shadows moving behind parked cars. Other times, strange vehicles sat idly at the end of my street, without getting in or out. My mind battled between logic and fear. I feared not winning. One evening after sunset, I walked to the sidewalk outside the park, but didn't enter. No habit, glanced toward the tree line and froze. The figure stood there, same height, same posture, but up. I stepped closer, just watched, as if he'd been waiting. My skin prickled. I slowly backed away before turning toward my car, forcing myself not to run until the last moments. After that, I avoided the park completely. Even during the day, I stayed on the opposite street. The thought of entering that place again made my chest tighten. I no longer trusted the quietness around me. It felt like something could be hiding, waiting. Worse, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been marked somewhere. The strangest part was that he never spoke. No threats, no words, just silent presence. No footsteps, stares, and stillness. That silence made everything worse. It felt intentional, as if he wanted me to know he was there, but never close enough for me to move. That uneasiness lingered in a way I didn't know fear would. I mentioned the incidents with a few friends. I brushed it off as paranoia or overthinking. I didn't experience the suffocating stillness or that cold stare. I knew what happened. I knew the man wasn't following me by accident. He wanted me to notice him. He wanted me to know he noticed me too. Over the weeks, it made me nerve-wracking. Sometimes I felt eyes on me for something in the dark. Not always a figure, just a sensation, sharp and heavy. I began double-checking my glow-ups, closing the curtains tightly, and avoiding nighttime walks entirely. My evasion didn't make the fear disappear. They made me more aware of it. Some nights, I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my apartment. Soft, deliberate, as though someone walked slowly past my door. The sound drew nearer, then faded away. Each time I checked, the hallway was empty, silent, as if no one had passed at all. It only made it worse. It felt like someone was moving just ahead of my line of sight. I kept telling myself it was a neighbor, but the timing didn't feel random. The quiet steps stopped exactly by my door, then retreated. No doors opening or closing, no voices. Just that eerie rhythm of the floorboards, like a reminder that someone was there, someone who knew precisely where I lived. I considered going to the police. What would I say? That a man in a hoodie watched me from the trees? That footsteps followed me or vanished unchecked? Without a face, name, description, or evidence, I felt helpless. So I kept silent and tried to ignore it. Sometimes when I passed the park during the day, I thought I saw a glimpse of someone behind the foliage. A faint silhouette, standing too still. Whether it was him or not, I didn't stay long enough to find out. Any figure with a hood instantly set off alarm bells inside me. The nightmares began after that. A dream of footsteps chasing me, of the man standing motionless at the park entrance, of shadows slipping between the trees. I woke, drenched in sweat, my heart racing. Even awake, the fear lingered as a whisper in the back of my mind. Slowly, I changed my habits completely. No more late walks, no shortcuts near the park, no looking into the tree line. Even in broad daylight, I felt uneasy walking near that place. The memory of his figure standing in the dark had etched itself too deeply to ignore. To this day, I still don't know why he followed me, whether I was chosen randomly or not. But the sensation of being watched, of someone tracking my movements without being seen, has stayed with me ever since. Even now, passing that part of town makes me tense. Sometimes, while driving past, I could swear I see a figure among the trees. A familiar outline, just barely visible, but when I blink, it's gone. I don't know if it's my imagination or if someone really is still there, watching the world from behind the leaves. I try to believe it all ended years ago, that the man in the hoodie was just a strange encounter I exaggerated in my mind. But a part of me stays alert, remembering the way he stood in silence, the way he moved only when I moved. Those memories refuse to fade. What haunts me most isn't anything he did directly. It's the distance he kept close enough for me to sense him, but far enough that I could prove nothing. That deliberate silence felt colder than any threat. It felt like a message I couldn't understand and couldn't forget. Even now, when night falls, I sometimes hear faint footsteps outside my window or down the hall. Maybe real, maybe not. I don't always check, because whenever I remember the man standing among the trees, unmoving, watching, I know one thing for certain. I'll never go near that park in the dark again. I'm still shaken when I think about what happened less than 24 hours ago. Every detail is still sharp and alive in my mind, enough to make my skin crawl whenever I replay it. It was the first time in my life I genuinely felt like something terrible could happen to us. That night, my friends and I went to Overlook Park just to talk, relax, and enjoy a quiet evening like we'd done so many times before. At first, the plan was nothing more than chatting and hanging out. One friend mentioned he still had Roman candles in his trunk and wanted to fire them off. Overlook was the worst place for that, so I suggested moving to the Loop, a secluded area surrounded by thick woods. Everyone agreed, and we split into 2 cars to head over, thinking it would be safer and no one would bother us. Even though the Loop had several parking spots, we decided to park along the road in case anything weird happened. The path leading in was long and winding, hidden between tall trees, so no one from outside could see what we were doing. As we walked farther in, we noticed a few cars scattered around in odd places. It felt a little off for that hour, but we didn't think much of it. The deeper we went, the heavier the atmosphere felt. A few cars were parked in a circle with their lights off. Then suddenly, a pickup truck behind us started moving without turning its headlights on. It swung around and headed straight for us. Instinctively, we hid behind the trees. The truck rolled past slowly, made a full loop, and came back again, unsettling all of us. What made it stranger was the truck's size. It barely fit 3 people, while we were 6 full-grown adults. Yet its presence alone made everyone uneasy. Right then, one friend lit a Roman candle, and the flare shot upward. Immediately, the truck blasted its headlights and began creeping toward us, forcing us to bolt straight into the thorny woods. We thought running into the woods would help, but the truck suddenly swerved off the pavement and drove across the grass toward us. Its headlights flooded the trees, and the horn blasted like it was trying to shake the whole park. We ran deeper, pushing through tall brush and low branches, hoping to put distance between us and whoever was chasing us. The whole thing felt like a hunt. After maybe 20 feet, we heard shouting near the truck, and then more headlights flicked on from other cars. Our group split in 2 without meaning to. I was left with only 2 friends, clueless where the other 3 had gone. There was no time to regroup. 2 men jumped out of the truck and ran into the woods after us, sweeping their flashlights across the trees as they closed in. The 3 of us dropped to the ground to hide. I managed to crawl beneath a wide bush, but my 2 friends were still partly visible. We were lying in a dip below the walking path, while the edge of the loop sat just above us. Within moments, we heard footsteps overhead, and beams of light cut through the branches right above our hiding spot. None of us dared to breathe. We were pinned between 2 groups, one searching ahead of us, another scanning the ridge above. No one understood why they were reacting so violently over a few small fireworks. We hadn't gone near their cars, and fireworks were completely legal here anyway. The silence of the search and the aggression behind it made everything feel far more dangerous than it should have been. After nearly 15 suffocating minutes, we heard the truck engine start again. It slowly reversed off the grass and drove away. The other lights went out one by one, but we never saw the 2 men who ran into the woods return to their vehicles. When my friend realized he'd dropped his phone, we had no choice but to retrace our steps, terrified those men were still nearby. To our surprise, finding the phone was easier than escaping the woods. Navigating without using a flashlight was almost impossible. We didn't dare turn anything on, it felt too risky. Eventually, we reached the edge of the loop and found one of our other friends hiding alone. He said one of the men had sprinted right past him, holding something that looked disturbingly like a knife. The moment we heard that, we ran. All of us tore toward the loop exit. But as we got closer, we spotted the pickup truck parked near the entrance, as if waiting. Luckily, there was a dense patch of brush on the side, and we crawled through it to move unseen. Almost immediately, the truck flicked its headlights on and swung around toward the direction we were going. We had no choice but to sprint. The truck followed along the road, keeping pace, but once we veered sharply into the deeper woods, it couldn't chase us. We ran blindly for several minutes until we stumbled onto the main road leading out of the area. The truck stopped at the entrance and didn't come farther, but none of us felt convinced they had truly given up. We split into 2 groups to head back to our cars in case they tried tailing us. It took a few hours before the other 3 managed to message us they'd escaped faster because they ran straight instead of hiding like we had. Hearing their version left them just as shaken. Every one of us agreed we were unbelievably lucky to get out without someone getting hurt. From that moment on, None of us ever wanted to step foot in the loop again. The place that used to feel calm suddenly seemed like a trap waiting for victims. Being chased deep into the woods by strangers over a harmless firework made no sense. We all felt something was deeply wrong, like their real reason had nothing to do with the Roman candles at all. What disturbed us even more was how they moved fast, silent, coordinated, like they'd practiced or done this before. Nothing about it felt like people annoyed by noise. The way they turned on lights, split up, pursued us on foot, and carried weapons sent chills down our spines. Everything they did looked like they were hunting us for a purpose we couldn't understand. The time hiding in that pitch-black forest felt endless. I kept imagining what would happen if one of them spotted us, each thought worse than the last. Every crack of a branch made us flinch. When we finally reached the main road again, the relief hit so hard none of us spoke for a long while. It felt like narrowly escaping something truly dangerous. Even now, thinking back makes me shiver. I don't know who they were or what they wanted, but it definitely wasn't anything good. The aggression, the silence, the way they moved through the trees, and the glimpse of a weapon under the headlights all convinced me of one thing. If we had been a little slower that night, the outcome could have been very different. I'm never going back to the loop again.
Thank you for staying until the end. If the dark didn't scare you away, maybe you belong here. Subscribe to Night Whispers and let the darkness find you again next time.